I'm sure you didn't notice this. Did our protagonist break the machine when he was measuring his power? The guy is the strongest rank S in history. And who's this guy that got trapped in a portal and came back from the dead after 10 years, bringing something crazy with him? Dude, if you want to know everything that happened in these episodes, come with me, partner. Our protagonist's grinding XP like crazy, and Yujin is just standing there wide-eyed, while everyone in his shadows is massacring the enemies. The guy just can't believe what he's seeing. He asks the protagonist about the soldiers around, and Yujin just explains that they're summons from his ability. All good, right? Not exactly. After the fight, our protagonist tells his lackeys to collect the mana crystals in the dungeon. Yujin, trying not to be useless, asks him to let him handle gathering the ores and gems. One of the soldiers, feeling bad for him, even tries to give him a crystal, looking like, "Who's this clown here?" But in the end, he hands over a stone to Yujin. Happy now, partner? You're not a total zero after all. Meanwhile, in a very eerie corner, a strange man appears amidst the wreckage of a dungeon, causing everyone to panic. But he quickly reassures them, saying he's not an enemy, that he's on their side and just wants to get back home. Would you trust him, bro? The guy shows up out of nowhere, knocks out your buddies, and then says he's chill and just wants to go home? I'd never trust him. We cut back to our protagonist celebrating the victory because they finally completed the 19 raids. Yujin then reveals his plans. The next thing he's going to do is take the written exam to get his guildmaster license and use it as a bargaining chip to negotiate with his dad. Our protagonist is happy for him but gives him the reality check, telling him they won't see each other for a while. There's a place he needs to go before doing anything else. Yujin gets a bit upset and thinks that our protagonist just wants to get rid of him somehow. He vents, saying that Sung never liked him, that they were never really brothers. Are we about to have a heart-to-heart now, bro? But in a rare sentimental moment, our protagonist says he's going to start treating him like a real brother. Yeah, turns out our protagonist's got a heart sometimes, huh? Meanwhile, that mysterious man who showed up in the dungeon is taken to prison. The guys guarding him start gossiping and chatting away. They begin talking about how his name is Juan, and he was stuck in a portal for 10 years. This guy who showed up is Korean, but out of nowhere, after disappearing for 10 years, he reappears in a dungeon in America, and he can't even speak a single word of English. To handle this, they brought in none other than that crazy psychopath killer and let him handle the interrogation. Yeah, what could go wrong, right? A guy with bloodlust who's just looking for someone to take his anger out on. We quickly cut back to the protagonist, who's now standing in front of the demon castle, ready to enter. He remembers that the last time he was here, he was level 20 and nearly got dragged by Cerberus. But now our protagonist's tougher. Will he finally be able to handle this castle? He uses the key to open the door and gets a mission. Collect 10,000 demon souls. Wait a second. Is that right, guys? 10,000 souls? Is he like Constantine now? Clearly, our protagonist realizes this is absurd, but he has to complete the mission anyway. He needs to make sure he gets all the ingredients for the elixir of life to heal his mother. Elsewhere in the city, Eugene is talking to his dad, telling him he wants to be the guild leader. But his dad, who's no fool, already figured out that he asked someone for help to get the guildmaster position, and he knows exactly who that was. And for him, that means Eugene's not even close to being worthy of leading the guild. Come on, man. The guy did his thing, figured it out, got everything he needed, and you're just gonna shut him down like that? Eugene keeps insisting, and in the end, his dad makes a proposal. He can take over the guild, but only if he can recruit Jin Woo for the position. Good luck with that, buddy. Eugene's left thinking, unsure if he'll be able to pull it off. We cut back to our protagonist, who's wiping out demons on the first floor, and the first thing he thinks is, well, since I'm killing demons left and right, why not turn them into shadows? But then he gets shut down by the system, saying he can't do that. At least he finally gets the pass to go up to the second floor. But he can only use it in the teleportation circle, so he'll have to make his way there. Since the castle is huge, he clearly doesn't want to walk, so he comes up with a brilliant idea. He summons the leader of the Ice Bears and uses it as a mount. The guy's using an Uber Shadow. At least give him 5 stars at the end of the trip to boost his reputation. The demons even try to block his path, but the tank... Yeah, our protagonist named the Bear Tank. Well, can't argue with that, right? So the bear just bulldozes through everyone without breaking a sweat, and our protagonist watches, totally impressed. The beast's a destruction machine, man. Name completely approved. Meanwhile, in the real world, Cha's chilling by a pool, relaxing, and the other girls are just gawking at her beauty. I won't even say anything. That's right, man. You're out of your mind. Even though she's there, her mind's elsewhere. She keeps thinking back to what Choi said about the winged monsters on Jeju Island, and she wonders why he didn't tell the public about it. He explains that it was an order from the association because they don't want to cause panic. But Choi also gets real, saying they need to strengthen the guild because a serious battle's coming up. Our protagonist's out hunting demons, and they're all weaklings, man. They're all rank B. But as he keeps going up, they start getting stronger. He realizes that the key to moving up quickly is to focus on the demons carrying the entry steps to the upper floors. But there's a small problem. The castle seems to have 100 floors, and he needs to hurry, man, because he didn't bring enough food for all this time. So yeah, better start stepping it up. After climbing, he finally faces one of the lower floor bosses. The Shadow Army already shows up, putting pressure on the demons. Our protagonist realizes he's improved his intelligence, which also boosts his control over the Shadow Army. But the boss of the floor isn't here to play around. He launches a surprise attack. Jinwoo counters with a punch and sends the beast flying, but his regeneration is instant, and he's back in action in no time. Iron steps in to hold the line and throws a shield to Jinwoo, who uses it to block the boss's frantic attacks. That's when he notices that the monster's reading his moves, so he quickly decides to change strategies. He figures out that, man, to take this beast down, he's going to need to land a shot straight to the head, all in one go. Somehow, he tricks the monster with invisibility and starts scaling a building. The demon notices and charges after him. He ends up colliding with the building structure, and Jinwoo does a flip and goes straight for the demon's jugular, cutting it in one strike. The demon falls back, done for, and the building Jinwoo climbed falls right on top of him. As a reward, our protagonist gets a fragment of the World Tree, one of the rare items he needs to finally make the elixir. While that guy who showed up in the dungeon in the US, is in the interrogation room. The psychopath walks in already pissed off, calling him a talking monster. But the guy calmly responds that he's human, and even suggests they do a DNA test to prove it. But the guy gets pissed because he was interrupted right when he was about to have some fun, meaning he was about to massacre both of them. Yujin got off lucky, huh? That's when the guy from the dungeon drops a bomb. He says a huge catastrophe is coming, and all he wants to do is stop it from happening. Dan-Su thinks the world's hunters can stop this threat, but then the man laughs. They don't have a chance at all to stop it, and here comes the plot twist. Dan-Su checks the records and finds out that the guy who showed up in the dungeon is none other than our protagonist's father. With that bombshell dropped, we cut back to our protagonist, who's already climbing the floors and has made it to floor 75. He realizes that, man, this is really unbalanced. He's crushing everything in his path. But then hunger starts to set in, and he realizes that even though there are still 25 floors left, he's almost out of food. But during his journey, he's found some pretty good stuff. He found an earring and a necklace that are part of a set, only one piece away from completing it, and they boost all of his stats. He also gets an item called a greedy glass, which amplifies the power of mages. Then he opens a cursed box, which is his gift, and receives a mysterious key. But, as usual, the system doesn't give any clues on what it does or where he's supposed to use it. Well, up to floor 75, he's already gathered 2 of the 3 items he needs to make the elixir of life. But there's still 1 more to go. With no time to think too much, he decides to call it a day and come back later. Because one thing's for sure, this journey of his, bro, is far from over. The next 25 floors are gonna be insane, you know? After everything our protagonist has gone through in the dungeon, he realizes he's leveled up. That's when he realizes, man, he can't stay a simple E-rank hunter anymore. He needs to evolve because he needs access to better places. And there are things that only the top hunters, rank S, can reach. We cut to the Hunter Association, where rank evaluations are taking place. One of the recruiters is in shock when he sees that our protagonist is there for a rank re-evaluation. He knows just how strong he is. He immediately contacts and tells Beck that Sung is there, man. And the guy, without wasting a single second, runs straight there. Sung is called into the room to test his power level. The evaluator asks him to put his hand on the black crystal in the center of the room. That's when the device that's supposed to read his power simply malfunctions. She asks him to try again. And again, the same error happens, man. The guy broke the machine. She then calls someone to check if everything's all right. That's when her supervisor walks in and tells him to try the test again. And the same thing happens. That same error happens again. The guy's shocked and says the machine is working perfectly, but it just can't measure the guy's power. The only conclusion? Yeah, partner. Our protagonist just became the 10th rank S in the country, bro. Then we see the vice president and Choi talking about the ants on Jeju Island. Before the conversation can continue, Choi notices there's some kind of commotion, some chaos going on at the Hunter Association. Everyone is staring at Jinwoo since the machine simply froze when trying to measure his strength. The director informs him that he needs to come back in 3 days to pick up his license and take a new test, so they can actually measure his power. The recruiter who contacted Bayek thought about talking to him, but before he could, Choi walks into the middle of the room. This guy's one of the most powerful representatives of the Hunter Guilds, and seeing our protagonist, he senses that this guy is no ordinary person. Yeah, the dad's tough son. Forget everything. He doesn't waste any time and goes straight to the point, inviting our protagonist to join his guild. But immediately, Jinwoo simply ignores the offer. The people around him are shocked, man. How does he turn down the president of one of the biggest guilds in the country? And he didn't just ignore it, man. The guy snubbed him, walked right past him without even turning his eye, man. Not even a glance. And that's when, just like that, our protagonist disappears right in front of everyone. Then Bayek appears at the entrance, running after Jinwoo. And Choi realizes that, man, the White Tiger Guild is also keeping an eye on him. This just strengthens the suspicion he had. That our protagonist was the one who closed the red portal that was messing with the White Tigers. Jinwoo goes to visit his mother at the hospital. He spends some time with her, but when he leaves the room, he runs into Jin Chu. Our protagonist already knows they've been following him the whole time. But the guy explains that they only monitor people who are dangerous or have committed some kind of crime. Instead, there's someone there who wants to speak with him. And who shows up, man? None other than the president of the association. First, he recognizes him and congratulates our protagonist for becoming the 10th rank S hunter in the country. That's when our protagonist asks why he has to come back in 3 days. The president then explains that this is actually a waiting period, to avoid some commotion, and because if the news spreads instantly, the big guilds will immediately go after him. Man, that's not even bad. Those guilds must pay a ton, bro. The guy's about to become a millionaire overnight. He starts with the speech, saying the association needs strong hunters, but most only join big guilds for the money and fame. Which is true, man. A lot of people go after that. But Jin Chu, for example, is one of the best hunters in the association, and the guy is just rank A. There's no rank S there. Then the president makes an offer to our protagonist. He offers him a position in the association to help make it strong enough to rival the 5 biggest guilds in the country. Our protagonist even considers it, man, since it would offer him a stable future. But deep down, he feels that his place isn't with the association, but in the dungeons, smashing monsters. He ends up turning down the offer. The president thinks it's just about the money. But our protagonist explains that he simply belongs on the battlefield, man. The president respects his decision. Before leaving, he says that if he were younger, he would love to fight alongside him in some raids. But the truth is, inside, he's crushed, man. The guy really can't fight anymore, dude. That must be really painful for him. Not even the world's greatest healer, rank S or whatever, could cure old age, man. We cut to the United States, where we see that psychopath bedridden in the hospital, all busted up. The director of the guild he belongs to really asks if the guy who showed up in the dungeon was a magical beast. Don Su believes so, since the guy had powers far beyond anything imaginable. The director tells him to come back as soon as he finishes recovering. But Don Su can only think about revenge. He remembers that the guy who appeared told him to leave his family alone. But the guy just can't accept that he was humiliated like that, man. The guy wiped the floor with him and threw him away. And all he can think about now is that he needs a really special item to be able to go head-to-head and take that guy down. Well, speaking of items, he's not the only one after them. Our protagonist is already browsing an online store and nearly has a heart attack when he sees how absurd the prices are for magical items. He realizes he needs better equipment to conquer that castle and considers selling that orb he got to make some money. But that's when doubt hits him. If he does that, everyone's going to want to know how a simple hunter managed to get such a rare item, and the guy isn't even rank S yet. So, to avoid suspicion, he decides to enter a rank A portal as a miner. That way, he can say he bought the item there while doing his job. He's about to talk his way out of this, huh? What a smooth talker. While the guild president is there analyzing his documents, he starts thinking that maybe he could have forged the rank E classification he had before. But Jinchu insists that, man, there's no way that happened. He really was rank E, man. He was tested twice, and he always came out of the dungeons hurt, sometimes even nearly dead. Not to mention that he pays for all his mom's medical expenses and his sister's schooling, proving that he's not just some crazy guy. But then comes the most unexpected part. They realize that our protagonist signed up as a miner in the Hunter Guild. The president can't understand why he did that, man. The next day, our protagonist shows up at the portal with the other miners, introducing himself as a mere rank E. And that's when he learns how the big raids work. There's a mining team that collects the mana crystals, while the recovery teams dispose of the remaining monsters. And inside the portal, without counting the attack team, right? That's the team that clears out the dungeon. In this raid, Cho is already causing chaos, incinerating monster after monster. He holds back a bit so he doesn't burn the bodies too much, since they need to sell them later. When the mission ends, our protagonist sees Choi leaving the portal, and he's impressed by the power he has. Then Chahain, the vice master of the Hunter Guild, appears. Our protagonist notices she has an impressive aura, man. And when she finally notices him, his presence simply disappears, leaving her a bit confused, not understanding what's going on. The mining and recovery teams head into the portal to get to work. Meanwhile, our protagonist feels the presence of the dungeon boss inside, and he immediately identifies that the boss is stronger than any other enemy he's faced inside the demon castle. His curiosity hits hard, and he decides to sneak a peek at the monster. He runs over there, and guess what? He bumps into the gate that leads to the boss's room. He immediately pulls out his dagger. That's when Cha shows up behind him and simply asks, "What are you doing here?" "Yeah, partner, what now?" Did she notice he pulled out the dagger? She's a bit suspicious. What do you think is going to happen in the next episode? I'll leave it here. Hit that like button, comment, and subscribe to give the channel some love so you don't miss the next videos. And if you're looking for something good to watch, here you go. Check this one out, man. Take a look. It's really good. I'll be leaving now, and I'll see you in the next anime.